On Newsnight tonight, MPs in rare show of unanimity as they back anti-gay bill on the day Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee presented a consensus report asking Parliament to pass the bill. But with 3 cases before the courts challenging the bill, can Parliament proceed? We tell you what happened when the Speaker challenged MPs opposed to the bill to stand up and be counted.
With the submission just made that all the 275 are in support of the bill. Anybody who disagrees, be on your feet and I will recognize you.
Also tonight, members of the Food Suppliers Association prepare to spend a second night on the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company as they vow they will not move an inch unless they are paid the 270 million cedis arrears owed them.
We are not picketing only for today. We are going to be here till tomorrow next. If our money is not paid, we want to be here, we want to live here.
We have details already. 3 members of the group have fallen sick with no response from the buffer stock company. Also tonight.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying that we have to tackle the main source, which is the assembly. They are looking on. We have given them the signals.
Also tonight, Eastern Regional Minister orders property owners on the Pediasi mountain to take immediate remedial measures to stop stones and sand from falling off onto the road to avert a looming disaster in the area.
We have spoken to the owners of this property. This is a private property, and they need to, as a matter of urgency, raise a solid defense wall.
We have details as the Ghana Highway Authority blames assemblies for allowing the wrong siting of these buildings. And tonight also, West African Gas Pipeline Company rescinds decision to suspend transportation of natural gas to GNPC over a $13 million debt as it engages government to resolve the matter permanently. We have details of that also in business.
Ghana set for first IMF program review in September this year, a move that could see the country secure $600 million before the end of 2023.
And in sports, Ghana is on course to host the continent's best ever Africa Games. That's according to local organizing committee chairman Dr. Ofosu Asari.
And then also Presec Legon set their sights on the ultimate prize as they embark on a relentless campaign to claim their 8th NSMQ national trophy after dismantling Accra Academy and 2 others in the NSMQ regional championship for the 4th time in a row.
In Parliament, shall we? And Emefa, as you know, the debate has been raging today on the floor on the day when the Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee presented that report on that anti-gay bill, and in that report the committee chair read and presented to the House. It was unanimous. Both sides of the committee, NDC and MPP, were emphatic that the House should pass it. This is the chairman of that committee, Anyimadu-Antwi, addressing the House today when he presented their report.
In response to the concerns and sentiments of the general public towards the opening of Advocacy Resource Center by the LGBTQ community, some members of Parliament decided to introduce a private member's bill. In the view of the proponents, the activists of LGBTQ+ threatens the concept of family and the associated value systems that are central to the social-cultural of all ethnic groups in Ghana. They avert that the concept of family for Ghanaians has always been a unit of society initiated by marriage between a man and a woman, each of whose gender is assumed at birth. And I would add that to the exclusion of all others. The proponents further argued that the Marriage Act 1884 to 1995, Cap 127, is silent on the required sex marriage partners. In their explanation, the law could only contemplate marriage as a union between a man and a woman whose sex is determined at birth. However, with the increasing blurring of the concept of male and female as a result of the activities of LGBTQ+, the absence of a clear language on the accepted sex of marriage partners could create challenges for the implementation of CAP 127.
Well, that's the chairman of the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee. In the end, the conclusion was that the committee, both NDC and MPP sides of that committee, were unanimous that the House should pass this particular bill. On the floor, so today, was the former Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, who is MP for Sawase. He was clear that there is no way the House would end its meeting this term and not approve it.
Very worrying that those who had been canvassing for this, for lack of better word, madness to be allowed to continue in our country are not averting to their minds to three things. And I will always say the first thing, regardless of which other human being you are, there's something you believe. Whatever you believe, whether you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, you are a Buddhist, you are a pagan, you believe in something. What has your scripture said about this? The LB and all the Q's and T's that are attached to it. What has the scripture said about that? Well, Mr. Speaker, as we speak, I remember very well that I was part of, myself and Honorable Dambuchi were part of those who went to inspect this gadget that we are speaking through. And Mr. Speaker, it has a manual. The manual of how to use it, how to put it on, how to put it off. It has a manual. If we decide that, yes, we're going to procure this gadget, but we want to use it anyhow, I don't think it will be working.
I want to bring in our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, joins us. Kweku, was there any opposition at all while MPs debated this?
Hello, Evan.
Was there any opposition on the floor, Kweku?
None at all. In fact, at some point, the Speaker of Parliament said he was tired of hearing only views in support of the bill. So he threw the challenge to the entirety of Parliament that if there was any MP who was opposed to the bill, he should get up.
The submission just made that all the 275 are in support of the bill. Anybody who disagrees, be on your feet and I will recognize you.
Did any MP dare to stand up?
In fact, no one got up on his feet. He actually threw that challenge again the second time. There was not a single MP on his feet to speak against the promotion, the anti-LGBTQ bill. In fact, a number of MPs had been making submissions and saying that if that was so, and if all 275 MPs were in support of the bill, then they should just ram the bill through, get it under a certificate of urgency, and pass it even by the close of today.
Well, that's a parliamentary affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante. Thank you so much there. Let's bring in a key proponent of this particular bill, Ningo Prampram MP Sam George. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight. I am sure this is the kind of progress you're looking for when it comes to this particular bill. Is that the case? Hello, Mr. Sam George. Okay. Do we have Mr. Sam George? Okay, it looks like we don't have Sam George, but let me bring in the chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, Mr. Anyimadu-Antwi. We are grateful for your time. Just yesterday, we weren't too sure whether the second reading was going to happen. Thankfully, it did. Did you get the kind of reaction that you were expecting when you did that second reading?
Good evening to your listeners. Yes, I got it, especially to you, press, because at the beginning, anything I said, it was misconstrued. And I said that lawmaking is a process. It is not an event. People were expecting that within 3 days we should have passed it. But now, having presented the report, I am sure the members of the public, Ghanaians in general, have seen the Herculean task and the work that had gone into the consideration of the bill at the committee level. So I was happy that we got the opportunity to present it today.
Second reading done. At least there was no dissent when it came to this particular debate of the report. What then happens? Where are we going next after this?
Well, the second reading is when we talk about the principles governing the bill. So you overhead as the normal circumstances, it will be for and against. But here we didn't get any person dissenting on the proposed bill. And so we're going to look at the amendments that we have made. And the Speaker prompted us that he may refer it back to us for the proposal that had practiced and had owned up, and we want to rehabilitate the person. We have to, if the person would want to go to hospital, for instance. And the Speaker is saying that, well, the health facilities from all the churches and Muslim communities, they have the health facilities and they want to bring them on board. We, as a committee, would have to meet the religious leaders and take a decision on that. The question, it came up during our deliberations at the committee level. What we're not sure is whether we could legislate on this and put it in the law. So we may have to reconsider it, but we are grateful to anybody that helped us to do that. There was a lot of work from public hearings up to consideration of the bill itself at the committee level. It was a lot of work, and we are very grateful that members of committee and the proponents of the bill were there throughout to support the committee.
Mr. Mayor, do you have at least 3 cases pending before the courts seeking to stop or correct or get the courts to intervene on aspects of this particular bill? Are you really in the clear in your attempt to proceed with this bill when these cases are still pending before the courts?
I'm not aware that there is any case pending before the courts.
Well, there was one yesterday, the latest one, which came down to 3.
Well, I'm not aware of that, and I cannot speak to that.
But by this, are you saying that the attention of the committee and Parliament, for that matter, has not been drawn to these 3 cases that are currently pending before the courts?
Now, I am not aware. As the chairman of the committee, nobody had drawn my attention to any court proceedings. So I'm not aware of that.
So you're proceeding as if these cases don't exist, because they do exist?
Why, I have not had any hint about this case. So when I'm proceeding on. If I've not been served or nobody has prompted me that this would not allow me to proceed, then I cannot on my own. I mean, I'm hearing it from you the second time that there's a case in court, but I haven't seen the reach.
Well, you are acting on Parliament's behalf. The Speaker of Parliament is cited in at least one of these cases. That is, Parliament has been cited. Whether you're aware or not,
I would have loved to be the Speaker, but unfortunately I'm not the Speaker, so if he is aware, I'm not aware of it.
The Speaker hasn't drawn your attention to it too?
The Speaker hasn't said anything to me yet on that, so far as court cases are concerned.
So as far as you're concerned, there's nothing stopping Parliament, your committee, from proceeding to pass this?
I don't know the nature of the case, if there is a case pending before court. So it will be very difficult for me to speak on that.
Are you confident this will be passed in this meeting?
Well, we are on the process, but I have my doubts because we have a lot of pending issues before us. So depending on what leadership will decide, there isn't much in the bill, but there are other considerations that we need to do. And the Speaker hinted that today. So even if we don't pass it this meeting, I'm very certain that our next meeting will pass it.
Thank you very much.
But if you say this meeting, I don't know if you are talking about the term of Parliament. Then that one I will say that, yes, I'm positive.
I'm grateful for that clarity. So in this term of parliament, he's absolutely setting. What he's not setting about is whether they will get it in this particular meeting. I want to bring in Sam George now. Sam George is a member of parliament for Ningo Pram. He's one of the proponents of this particular bill, the sponsors of this bill, and joins us right now. Mr. George, happy with progress of work, confident that this will eventually get passage in this meeting?
Pretty much. Good evening to your listeners. But we're extremely excited, and let me express my profound gratitude on my behalf and on behalf of my co-sponsors to the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, for standing with us and shepherding this process to the stage where we've gotten today to complete the second reading and get the approval of the report of the committee. We're pretty confident that the consideration stage shouldn't take more than 48 hours at the maximum, 2 days of sitting, because majority of the proposed amendments are objects of agreement between us as sponsors and the committee. I'd say about 95% of the amendment. So very little room for debate when it comes to the amendment. So we should be able to pull through within 2 days, barring any filibustering attempt on the floor of the House.
Are you concerned at all about the pendency of at least 3 cases against this particular bill?
Absolutely not. I mean, the judiciary is vested with the power constitutionally to interpret legislation and not to engage in the formation of legislation. I mean, the fact that we're even engaging and entertaining a suit against the Speaker and Parliament in the exercise of its function is an abuse of our court system, and the court should just throw this out. Can you imagine the court giving a directive to the President that a matter that is before Cabinet, he and his Cabinet cannot discuss it because a farmer has come to challenge the jurisdiction or ability of the President and his Cabinet to carry out that kind of conversation? That's exactly what we're doing here. By anyone inviting the court to direct Parliament not to carry out its own processes of passing legislation. I mean, that would be the day we sound the death knell of our democracy. And I believe that the judiciary would not be invited, will not accent to this invitation to dance a dance of shame.
Thank you very much. That's Sam George, is Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram and one of the sponsors of the bill.
Now, it's sundown, Evans, and members of the National Food Suppliers Association are getting ready to spend a second night on the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company. Joining us is learning that 3 of the members are already unwell after spending the night there and have been taken to the hospital. The members who arrived from all parts of the country have vowed they will not move an inch unless they are paid the 270 million cedis owed the food suppliers. They've supplied food to senior high schools across the country from 2021 to 2023, and they've not been paid this 270 million cedis. My colleague Prince Kwame Kudoga and Maxwell Agbagba have been monitoring this situation. Maxwell joins us in studio. Maxwell, we understand the members of the National Food Suppliers Association slept on the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company last night, and they're planning to do so tonight as well. Tell us more.
Exactly, Emefa. They slept on the hard concrete floor yesterday. Some of them just had duvets to cover themselves. Some of them had to do so in plastic chairs. In fact, we saw some of them applying mosquito repellent before going to bed, but that did not stop mosquitoes from feasting on their bodies. Some of them did not have pillows at all. They slept on benches there on the premises. They only had water very close to them. So during the night, some of them just grabbed their bottles of water and then drink them. But they came there with their cooking utensils as well. They had their stoves, they had their bags of rice, they had their beddings. I'm talking about blankets, bed sheets, and all of that at the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company. And we understand that is going to continue today as well.
And some of them are already ill? What more do you know about that?
Exactly. So we understand 3 of them are unwell and were rushed to the Cocoa Clinic today. One of them is Madam Bailey's. She's from the Greater Accra region. One, Cecilia Anand from the Central region, is also unwell. And then Kate Adobe, also from the OT region, also unwell. 3 of them rushed to the Cocoa Clinic today.
And in all this, what has the National Food Buffer Stock said about this particular pitching of camp of these food suppliers at their company?
Well, we've not had any response from the company yet. We've been trying to reach the CEO, but the phone is not going through. We've tried speaking to the deputy CEO. We are unable to reach him. We're directed to contact the corporate affairs manager. We've not been successful with that as well, too.
Well, that's Maxwell Agbagba there with details of what we've been finding out when it comes to this National Food Buffer Stock Company issue with their suppliers. The group is also accusing the company of sidelining them and giving the supply contract to their friends and cronies. Let's hear the secretary of the group, Patrick Ifa.
Now they have divided the work into two. Education is doing half, and then Buffer Stock 2 is doing half. Now, can you imagine this separation that has come? We, the suppliers, the old suppliers, they fall on us. And then they have their groups that they should do the work for. And then we are aside, we are put it aside. You are owing us, but you get money to pay them. Now, the new people that they have formed, that are supplying, I want to challenge them, and I want government to come and check in their books. How many times they have paid them this year? They have paid them like 3 times. You are owing us. Why can you do that? Why do you do that? You are owing us. You haven't paid, but now you pay people. Now, do you know what they do? They intentionally create the shortage of food in the schools. I'm challenging them. I'm telling them, if they like, they should come and tell us why emergency shortage happened or emergencies happen in the secondary schools. Why secondary schools are not having food? Do you know why? They will wait. They won't give the money to the suppliers. They will wait. When there's the schools are crying, then they will give money, physical money, to their own people. They select the people they have to give the money to, so that they'll go and supply direct. Why are you owing us? Pay us and we do that way, because when you didn't have money, the government didn't have money, we use our own money to supply, right? So why, if you have money now, you can supply, why don't you call the supplier, give us the money so that we supply for you? You go and select people that you like.
Emefa, we covered extensively when this challenge spilled over into the schools and left many of the senior high schools without food for days. It took chance to fight for that problem to be solved. Currently, what we don't know is how bad the situation is in the schools. Let's bring in a man who has been studying this and getting his own committee to look into this a bit more. He's a deputy ranking member on the education committee. Dr. Clement Park joins us right now. Doc, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. This matter's come up again. Of course, the suppliers are now picketing, sleeping at the premises of the Food Buffer Stock Company. What more do you know? Have you been briefed at all on the situation?
Well, Evans, let me say good evening to you and Emefa, as well as listeners across the country and beyond. And to indicate that the Committee on Education has not been formally briefed by the minister or the CEO of the Ghana Buffer Stock Company. We haven't also heard from the managers of our secondary schools. But from what I know, given that I've had a particular interest in matters of this nature over the years, and in particular, since the inception of the free senior high school policy and its implementation, is that there shouldn't be any reason whatsoever why government should owe the suppliers whom government itself has contracted to supply food to our secondary schools. I say so because the statistics available to me indicate that between 2017 and 2023, at least 11.9 billion Ghana cedis has been allocated to finance the program. If you were to look at just between 2020 and 2023. In 2020, the total allocation to finance the program as approved by Parliament was 2.4 billion. In 2021, it was 1.97 billion. In 2022, it was 2.3 billion. And the current year in question, 2023, is 3 billion. So why is government owing buffer stock suppliers in an amount that is even less than 300 million, and that has occasioned these suppliers to come from across the country to picket and to reside in the premises of the Ghana Buffer Stock Food Company.
What should happen now, Dr. Clement Park?
Hello?
What must happen now to fix this problem?
Oh, I mean, hearing what these suppliers are saying, Evans, it is even adding a lot more, if you like, dimensions to what we thought we knew. Originally, we had thought that there was only one group of suppliers contracted legitimately and legally to do this job, and that these were the suppliers who were collectively owed, they said, 270 million. But we are now hearing that in addition to the suppliers who are currently picketing and sleeping at the premises of the Ghana Buffer Stock Food Company, the Buffer Stock Company itself and the Ministry of Education is engaging another group of suppliers to supply food.
Well, that's not proven yet. It has been an allegation. Is it something that
yes,
the committee
that is what I'm saying. I'm saying that we are now getting different dimensions to an issue that we thought was much more straightforward.
Will you look into it at least?
Yes, my own take is that this definitely requires an invitation to the Minister for Education and the National Buffer Stock Food Company CEO to come to Parliament to explain to us exactly what is going on. But what I can say is this. The information I am getting across the country indicates that if action is not taken, like it or not, we would experience challenges in as far as supply of food to the secondary schools are concerned. So the president ought to step in and make sure that these matters are resolved as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Clement Park. Grateful for that. This is something you're watching pretty closely, trying to check with the schools what the situation there is. Has it spilled over yet into our schools? We'll bring you the latest as and when we get it.
I must also add that we've tried to speak to the National Food Buffer Stock Company, both the CEO, Abdul Wahab Hanan, and then also his deputy, as well as the communications director of the company. It's been unsuccessful so far. And when we're able to get them, we'll bring that to you. But let's head to Pediasi, shall we?
Let's do. And this is a place I love to drive to.
Yeah.
I mean, just when I'm relaxing on a Saturday, I'll just take a ride up the Bree Mountains. It appears that that may be a challenging thing to continue to do because of what has been happening there today. The Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Kwame Champon, has ordered owners of a property on the Pediasi Mountain to take immediate remedial measures to stop stones and sand from falling off onto that road. The minister stormed the area in the company of the Eastern Regional NADMO officials after Joy News report on the road this morning. Motorists who use the 5.9-kilometer stretch, like myself, to Pediasi to Mensah areas there, experienced one thing today that left many of them worried because it put lives in jeopardy. The road have been they've been describing the current state of the stretch as a death trap due to the incessant nature with which stones and debris has been washed down and falling off onto the road. This morning, motorists were greeted with a substantial amount of sand and stone on the road, obstructing movement of vehicles on the Pediasi Mensah bound stretch, reducing the two-lane into a single lane.
I had been so many times.
It is a major source of concern to us. I've applied this road for years. Initially, it was only water dripping from the mountain, but now both water and patches of rocks pose serious danger because you can't see your way clearly. I believe that the construction of houses on the mountain is causing the challenge.
This was dangerous. Now, I mean, did you say, a strong mama, Kwama, mom for ACC Adamon, and then this problem we are by.
This is a major accident waiting to happen if nothing is done to fix it. We are only praying that the appropriate authorities will immediately take action because the net covering it doesn't solve the issue.
Well, we interacted earlier with the Greater Accra Regional Director of the Ghana Highway Authority, Engineer Anyimadu-Antwi, and he blamed the siting of buildings wrongly for the situation and asked the assemblies to act, even though previous caution had been ignored.
Yeah, I'm saying that we have a mobile maintenance unit that I have called as an immediate intervention for them to come and clear the debris. They are stationed at Suhum. So they are organizing themselves to come to the sites.
But really, can you tell us if there's a long-term solution to this particular challenge? We are there almost every time when this incident occurs. Are there any interim measure or long-term measures or solutions to this? Because it looks like the mesh is not working.
Yeah, for every engineering intervention, we always have things that can easily destroy it. Let's say if you build a house and then you bring a bulldozer across it, the house will definitely come down. We looking at the top, you will see very massive development going on there. And then if you look at the type of rock that is on the hill, I mean the hill, the type of material that is made of, once it's soaked and get saturated, it will move. And that's exactly what is happening. They have exposed the whole top, the whole surface to direct water.
But are we not concerned, Engineer Odai, that this could be a disaster waiting to happen?
Yes, and that's why I'm saying that we have to tackle the main source.
So that's the Greater Accra Regional Director of the Ghana Highway Authority. My colleague Carlos Kaloni has been there all day. He's returned to the studio. So, Carlos, you raised this particular concern of the Highway Authority with the two assemblies that you interacted with, the Equiapim South and Pediasi. What did they say about the wrong siting of some of the buildings there?
So actually, reacting to these concerns over the siting of the property, the MC for Equiapim South Municipal Assembly, Frank Edu, said the owner of one of the properties there, which is the biggest hotel on that stretch, actually has a permit. But a few others on that stretch do not have permits. But the Eastern Regional Minister actually said that the Regional Coordinating Council is actually going to collaborate with the Municipal Assembly to examine if the structures there are to be demolished or not.
Has permit. It was here even before the road was expanded, so part of its land was even taken and was compensated. At the time, highways should have demolished this building, but they didn't do that. Currently, we are in sort of negotiation with the owner. What he is saying is that once the assembly will be able to compensate him, he's ready to let it go.
I cannot say yes, it should be demolished. No, because I think the man in the first place even ceded some of the property, his property, to the road construction, you see. And so, well, I stand for, if the technocrats say it should be, I have no say. I think it should be compensation, so the man doesn't also lose his property.
And Carlos, so what about the regional minister? You met him there as well. What was the assurance that he gave?
So he was concerned about the rate at which the stones were falling onto the road. But Evans, I need to give you some little background to it. These stones that we're talking about are rocks from the top hill of the mountain falling onto the road with some sand and debris, actually. So he's so much concerned about the fact that this keeps happening. But he attributed the situation to some contractors who are actually working on the hill, and so anytime it rains, it carries all the debris all the way from the top down to the drains there.
As we are here, the community is also being developed. The driveway of the community is being developed by a certified contractor of the community. He's building the road structure. The road structure he's building, we have come to realize that some of the sub-base material he's using to develop the road corridor was also washed away by the runoff, and it went through a gully which is beyond the structure we are standing by. And so a combination of the failure of the retaining wall here, as well as the runoff washing the subgrade material off the road carriageway through a gully behind us here, came together and fell off, because that is the lowest exit point from this area. And so all of them collected and exited there and came to lie on the carriageway in the descent from Ebri to Accra. That's why we got what we got this morning.
And thankfully, Senator Champon joins us, and many of you will still be using that stretch. So let me give you the very latest on that. Let's speak to him. He's the regional minister, also the chair of the Regional Security Council. Mr. Champon, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, Evans. How are you and your team?
We're doing great, and great to have you. So what's the status of that stretch tonight? And many people will still be driving both to Eburi and into Accra. So advise us. What should you do when you get to that stretch, based on what we know happened this morning?
We're just asking commuters to be cautious. We have some workmen on the road trying to clear off the debris so that we would be all offered opportunity to use the corridor as it was designed. So we only would plead with users of the corridor who have not experienced some of these runoffs, creating uncomfortable situations on the corridor for road users. We'll plead with the commuters to bear with us, but we are working at it immediately to clear off all the debris so the road will be free of the debris. But like your report said, we are looking at the matter with the engineering coordinating team. You know, in every region, we have what you call the engineering coordinating team. That is a formation of all engineering bodies within the economy. You have some in the road sector, you have some in the works and housing sector, all over. We have some in the assembly. So all of us put together, we sit and look at the engineering matters of the region. So we are looking at how best we'll navigate around this matter. We've met and taken some decisions, and we know that most of these decisions are going to be enforced soon. Legally, we would work with the Attorney General's office to grant us advice on the way forward and some of the actions we have to take to bring some sanity to the place.
The highways is very clear that this is because of the unauthorized siting of structures and building on that hill there. Why are you allowing that to happen when the laws clearly, from the highways point of view, should not be happening? They blame the assembly, but ultimately, you are the head of that region.
Thank you very much. I don't think this is a matter of a blame game. Ideally, we live in a society where the community keeps growing. The infrastructure you find around, most of them predates my entry into office. That aside, the assembly is in court. The municipality of the Kwapim South was already in court with some developers in the area. We live in a country where we have law as the rule of the day. So we, in application of the rule of law, Evans, you know, you can't just go when people have occupied a parcel of land over 12 years. There's authority in this country that when people occupy land for 12 years, and you do not go and contest, it becomes their property. When they have developed something on it and you haven't been able to get them off it, you go and break your property, it's a damage to the property. You may be against the rules that governs our existence. And so we are careful. That's why I said we would take advice from the experts, the engineering coordinating committee, as well as the Attorney General's office on steps that will not encumber the assemblies as well as the coordinating council in the steps we take in bringing sanity to the place.
As we speak tonight, the Pediasi Mensah stretch descending, is that road blocked or is free to traffic?
It is free to traffic. We have blocked, it's a dual carriageway. So we have used road barriers to caution road users. So as you approach that area where we found the debris, we have road barriers mounted that would indicate to any user that you would then veer into a single lane in your descent. Usually, because it's a dual carriage lane, two commuters can use the same corridor side by side and drive. But if you get to that portion, it will only have to key and one go and the other pursue and follows up.
Thank you very much, sir. And that's the regional minister there for the Eastern region talking to us about the challenge tonight. So if you're driving there tonight, that's the advice. Please keep your eyes peeled and drive carefully, especially if you're descending from the Pediasi to Mensah stretch. You just explained that one side of that lane has been blocked, but you can still circumvent it and follow the road signs. Be safe on that stretch. And another challenge, and George, I know you use that stretch quite often. That place is pretty dark at night also. Parts of it, you still have parts of it with, street lights, other parts still dark. And you still need to be absolutely careful.
I'm not the only person who like that route. I mean, Lexus as well, because he likes to walk with his friends.
Walk with Lexus. That's where you go.
I mean, it's a nice scenery and place that you always want to use.
It's my favorite place, actually, in the entire Greater Accra
So I think that they should move fast to put the place in order. And also enforcing the laws. I mean, if they are not supposed to put structures there, let's do it now before even the education about people occupying a land for more than 12 years and how they can now move to own that property. So they should act fast.
George, what do you have in the headline?
Well, events coming up in business. Ghana set for first IMF program review in September this year, a move that could see the country secure $600 million before the end of this year and also result in some positive response from donors and investors. And economist Professor Peter Korte makes a strong case for a supplementary budget as Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta works to present a mid-year review of the 2023 budget estimates. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Alliance Life and Ghana Pay. Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, Ghana is set for its first IMF program review in September this year. This represents a change from the initial November 2023 date that was captured in the country's program. But how critical is this assessment and what will be the expected impact on the economy? There is more in this report.
This is the new date that Joy Business has picked up from persons with the knowledge of Ghana's program with the IMF. The country's program with the fund had initially reported that the country will be up for review in November this year. However, Joy Business now understands that the first review is now set to happen in September this year. Passing this review will lead to Ghana receiving its second tranche of funds under the IMF program before the end of this year. It will also trigger additional budget support from the World Bank. However, this will be subjected to the board of the IMF, proving the IMF staff report after their review. Joy Business is learning that Ghana must have some key targets that should help the country pass this first review. This includes finalizing plans to clear all payables, due ministries, departments and agencies, as well as lay plans to reduce future accumulation. They should also finalize a strategy that will strengthen financial sector and rebuild buffers. Managers of the economy should publish an updated energy sector recovery plan, which seeks to remove all subsidies and improve operational performance of state-owned enterprises. There are other quantitative reforms that Ghana must meet by the end of this month. The September program review is also very important because it could trigger fresh funding from other donors like the World Bank and the African Development Bank.
To present a mid-year budget review before the end of this month. However, it's not clear for now whether the minister may go this way, looking at the current challenges facing the economy. But Professor Korte says the finance minister has limited options.
Certainly, there should be a supplementary budget because the IMF funds have come in, new taxes have come in. So a review of what we have now and how we are going to allocate those resources is important.
Economist Professor Peter Korte. Now, GCB has described shell disapproval for the bank to raise some 1 billion Ghana cedis through right issue as a sign of confidence in management in these times. Now, Shell does the bank at its annual general meeting give the bank the nod to raise funds to show up its capital and meet fresh regulatory requirements. Kofi Adomako is managing director of GCB Bank.
It's going to strengthen our balance sheet, reposition the bank where it was before all of this. It's going to also enable us implement certain products, also implement certain projects to improve the bank risk environment and the bank's resilience, also deepen our capacity to do business. Look, if you look all over the world, in North Africa, in Egypt, in South Africa, and even in our own backyard in Nigeria. Capital sits with the indigenous banks. It is the indigenous banks that will turn around the economy of this country. GCB therefore needs to be supported where it can. We are not asking to be favored, and that's why our shareholders have behaved the way they did today. We are asking shareholders to see the opportunity and potential in GCB and support us.
Kofi Adomako is the managing director of GCB Bank. Now, Ministry of Communication says it is working to expedite action in passing the legislative instrument for the National Information Technology Agency. The Minister of Communications, Osluso Kufo, says the instrument should aid in the regulatory activities in the space. She spoke to Joy Business after a stakeholder meeting to review the legislative instrument for the National Information and Technology Agency.
The lack of effective implementation of these laws becomes more and more apparent with each step that you try to take. And so we realize that let's do this as a matter of urgency. There are other aspects of the act which need to be reviewed, but we will do that. We've actually done a gap analysis, so we know what needs to be done.
Esle Osekufo is Minister for Communications and Digitization. Now, stakeholders in the artificial intelligence sector are cautioning business to strictly adhere to security guidelines associated with the emerging tools in the industry to safeguard their operations. The Data and Intelligence Forum, the Group Vice President of Data Excellence, Leona Benjamin, they urge businesses to adapt and strictly follow the guidelines associated with artificial intelligence to grow their business.
The fact is there are a number of tools out there, and most of these models are developed in the open so that there is a certain level of transparency. You see exactly what is going into it, what composes it, and there are basically rules and guidelines that govern how those models are supposed to be used and deployed. One of the reasons why we are betting on the Microsoft cloud specifically for this is because they have always been known for their data protection laws. So even when you put your models and your data in the Azure cloud, you are guaranteed that as long as you observe the needed security guidelines, your data should be safe.
Vice President of Data Excellence, Leona Benjamin, added to the stock market. If you hold MTN shares, there's a lot to smile about at the end of today because the value of each share held by any stakeholder or shareholder was up by a peso at the end of trading. So based on this development, shares of MTN are now worth 1 Ghana cedi, 33 pesos. However, Access Bank lost 10 pesos to close at 3 Ghana cedis, 70 pesos. Total Energies also lost 68 pesos and is now worth 6 Ghana cedis, 12 pesos. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George. Let's do sports. Musbal has the very latest. Hello, Musbal.
Hello, Emefa. Well, let's talk about the Africa Games because contractors at the University of Ghana Stadium say they are left with only 30% of work ahead of March 2024's Africa Games. A team made up of the university's Vice Chancellor, Professor Nanaba Apia Amfo, Minister for Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, LOC Chairman, Dr. Kweku Ofosu Asari, and other LOC members this morning inspected the facility at Legon, which will be used for the Games. The rugby field has been pegged at 70% complete, while there is work left to be done at the Diaspora Halls of Legon. Dr. Ofosu Asari, who is the LOC chairman, says Ghana will host the best ever Africa Games.
The government of Ghana is so committed to doing these games. You know that since 1965, this is the first time we are getting the opportunity to host the games. And the president has given us every assurance, despite the challenges we're having. COVID, what have you, Ukraine. I'm not a politician anyway. But what is going on recently, elsewhere, I have spoken to so many African countries. Elsewhere, they would have pulled out. But our government is committed to getting things done. And we are hoping that we will host the games and to be one of the best ever in the history of the games.
Su Asari, chairman of the local organizing committee of the games there. That's it for Sports Emefa, but just earlier in the day, Manchester United unveiled Mason Mount, and what has gotten a lot of people talking is the jersey number he's been given, number 7, taking over from Cristiano Ronaldo, and it appears a number of Manchester United fans are not happy about it.
Why are they happy?
Because they said a Chelsea player coming to Manchester United and they're giving him their jersey number 7. I'm not sure why that's the case, but well, not sure even if Evans has anything to say.
Mason Mount does not deserve
number 7.
Okay.
He's a very ordinary player.
All right.
He's an average player.
Okay, that's it for sports, brought to you by President Herbal and Chaco. President, every smile matters.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bao. Now let's head to the Ashanti region. Let's talk about the Syria Regional Hospital. We know that there's been talk about why it's been abandoned for so long. We've been hearing from the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiasari, on this, assuring that the road has been awarded on contract. But Anaya Ojima has been back to the area. Here's his report.
Health Minister Kweku Ajiman Menu, during a visit to the facility, noted the challenges with power and road have delayed the opening of the facility.
The inside the hospital road is part of the contract, but from Sewa town or from the major road to this place is supposed to be done by government. Here is virtually completed. All the equipments are in place. They are not bringing any new thing.
Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiasari, speaking on the probe on Joy News, indicated the power supply has been installed, with some work being done on the roads.
That one is also being given. The contract has been given out, is being done. So Sewia is practically completed.
Love FM's visit to the hospital using the Prabon Sewa route indicates the road is in a poor shape, dusty and bumpy. Motorists have to navigate their way through the gaping potholes with tact. The widening potholes pose danger to road users.
For about 4 years now, the road has remained poor. They usually come to grade the road and leave it. The road to the hospital is worse.
It has been over 4 years since drains and bridges were constructed on the stretch, but residents have had their hopes of a tarred road dashed for years. A bridge well constructed in the middle of the road is not utilized fully, as one end of the construction is left uncompleted.
2 weeks ago, an accident nearly happened at the spot. The drivers didn't notice each other. If the bridge was fully done, this wouldn't happen.
A drive to the Sewa Hospital is not a pleasant one. A decision to use the Pediasi route to exit the area was no different. Though the route is shorter, there is no sign of road construction. George Ejay, who is station master at the local taxi rank, says contractors packed out of the site months ago.
The contractor milled the entire stretch, so we were waiting for the construction of the road itself. The drains were all done. Later, we noticed the contractor had taken away all equipment from site.
It remains unclear when Sewa Government Hospital will be opened to the public to help improve access to healthcare in the Ashanti region. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
And it's official. When we're talking about schools in the Greater Accra region, we're talking Presec Legon, we're talking Accra Academy, Chimu SHS and Tema Methodist. I was wondering what happened to that school close to Cantonment that's supposed to be a school. They are nowhere near the regional championship. Presec.
Yeah. We don't compete in regional championship. We only do the national championships. That's
national.
Why you're not here. We're not going to, spend,
How do you go national when you can't even win? You are not even local champions. You want to win national champion.
Yeah, we are not interested in local. That's the whole point.
Okay.
We are national or international.
Well, Presec is local and national. Local and national, they are taking it for the 4th time in a row. They are hoping to get it for the 8th time national level after Ola. So we'll see how that goes.
You are actually now laughing at your own school.
No, I'm not laughing at Aquinas.
It
doesn't look like God is
that
an
laughter came after I mentioned Ola.
Oh.
In fact, when you mentioned Aquinas, you had a stern face.
We are launching our anniversary tomorrow, Prestige Girls, because you are nowhere there. Even regional, you didn't win.
Really?
They didn't. They didn't.
But Emefa is talking. How far
along Ola
is
the regional champion.
No problem.
Volta region. We are the champion.
I'm asking
you.
You
are see the school as well.
Which
question? Don't ask
the
me the
history
question.
of NSMQ. How far has your school won?
Quarterfinals. Let's
We're
talk about
still
yours.
ahead of- We've gone
Where?
to semis.
Semis, eh? Okay, we are going semis this year.
See, those of us who won it before, we are quiet.
How many times?
Watching all of you slag it out.
One day, glory.
Anyway, you put your time is off. It's finished.
But who has invited you?
So please.
We haven't handed over yet.
What are you talking about tonight?
We're talking about, do women listen when men speak?
Yes.
No.
Men don't listen.
Do you know,
when
I
women
posted
speak.
this. Almost all the guys in my ADN were like, you people.
My question, my follow up to that is, what do you listen with? Which part of your body do you listen with?
Our
Eyes,
intestine.
ears, and everything.
If you answer that question,
Definitely not our ears.
exactly my point. Thank you very much. You just answered my question. So if listening is done with the ears, and women just admitting right now yourself that you don't listen with your ear, then the question about listening doesn't
moot.
come up at all.
We use our eyes and everything
you
because we
listen
need
with
to
your
see your
We listen
body
with
language.
everything but our
By-
ears.
by the ears.
Oh.
Exactly. So you
The
don't
number
listen.
of times I'm having a conversation with a guy and he's like, are you listening to what I'm saying? No. Then I'll conclude. So did you hear what I said? So are you listening? And I've heard so many times people say that, like, women, when you're having a conversation with a woman, she's having her own conversation
In the
with
head,
herself,
with herself
which has
and
nothing
everything.
to do with what you're
Then
saying.
she'll conclude at
And
the
then
end.
you are in trouble. And it's like, so tonight we want to
It's
explore.
not always the case. It's not always the case.
No, when it comes to money issues, we are collecting money, counting down, and there we hear.
If you conclude that listening is only done with the ear, and then you also conclude that
not only
women
done with
do
the
not
ear.
listen with the ear, then
Listening
you
is
can't talk
not
about
just
listening.
with the ear.
It's
though.
with where
Oh, it's not just the ear. You need your eyes. You need everything.
You listen with your
yeah.
eyes.
Oh, me, I listen with my eyes. Why? With my eyes and ears. I can't
just
just listen with my
concern
ear
with her
alone.
eyes.
Everything. I need to read your body language.
There's
Everything.
only a woman who will tell you that. Listen with my eyes.